Hey, it's me, Grubix, and today I'm going to show you 3 tips in one video. So tip number 1, what I like to do a lot is record in Audacity. And the reason I do this is kind of what Noisia does. And that's essentially that akin to modular synthesis. When you're in the workstation and you're making sounds, there's always going to be an end product, but when you're getting to that end product, you'll find and hear and tune into certain cool sounds that you kind of can't replicate anymore, you know, even if you tried. So that would be like if you're driving down the road and you see all these cool attractions, or like, you know, the world's biggest potato, or, you know, like a cool bear that you saw in the woods, and you forget to take out your phone, right? So when we record in Audacity, that'd be like saving those as a memory with a video or a photo. You know, you'd be prepared. And that's essentially what we're doing. So what we're gonna do is you can get Audacity for free, or there are other alternatives such as Tenacity and WavePad, and among others. I'm not sure if they're free or not. They probably are. But we're just gonna get Audacity. Depending on your sound card, it might be a little different for you, but I just happen to have a Focusrite. So you'd go here to Audio Setup, and your recording device should be your output device. You know, playback device, that's what you would be hearing from. You'd set that to Windows or digital audio, and then your recording device would also be set to Windows digital audio. And it should say loop back if you want to know if it'll actually work or not. So you click that, click record, and then it'll start recording your actual device. Now, if you have ACO for all in live, you won't be able to record anything because it robs the audio of everything else and only allows audio to pass through live. That's why I recommend, if you can, you download FL Studio, the demo. You don't have to use FL Studio. And it'll come with FL Studio ACO. And you can uninstall FL after that. And you'll be left with FL Studio ACO, which is the same level of quality, minus a little, just a little less quality, but you wouldn't even notice it, you know? And the difference between this and regular ACO is that this doesn't rob your PC of audio. So you can set that up, you know, your output as whatever your output is, and there you go. And now you can record in Audacity whatever's playing in your software, as you can see. So example number 1 of why you'd want to do this is, let's say this cool sound. I'm using spectral time, and I want that cool sound that happens at the end, right there. That right there is already a really cool sound. So we could just get this, so around there maybe, and then you like reverse and use it as like a riser. And you could drop it into live, but let's get a better take, because this wasn't the best take. So if I just automate this to be at 100% all the time, turn off the delay too, so it just plays the spectral time. That's good enough. And now we have kind of like this like rising faller, which is a little weird because you'd expect it to go down in pitch. That's better. It's going down now. Okay, so let's re-record that, and it's going down. And that's enough. Right around there. We can export that. Let's export it to our sample pack actually. So that would be around sound design, FX. One shots, impacts, loops, fall. Do I have fallers? I don't have fallers, do I? I have risers, but not fallers. Fallers, call this Blippy. Export. And make sure you're exporting at the highest quality. So you don't have to go to 48 hertz. You won't notice the difference between 44 to 48. So just 44 for the sake of, you know, CPU and like all that shit. And space. And set it to 32-bit integer float. Just to have the highest quality possible. And then export. And then you could just keep recording just in case something else cool pops up. And then you could bring this back to normal if you want. And go back to your samples. Although live takes a second to really process the new samples there. So it might take it a sec to show that there's even a sample. But there it is. So now we can actually test that out and put it in the actual software. Let's put on the second part here. Pan it a little to the right so we can hear it. Make sure we cut the bass because it is a little heavy on that lower range. Right around there. Yep, there we go. And then you can even pitch it down too. And there you go. That's tip number 1. Record everything. But I'll give you one more example of why I like to record everything too. If we go to the recordings here, so I'm using FL Harmor and I can't export because it's a trial version. That's one of the best reasons you should record if you have like a trial software, you know, or if like the thing you're trying to exports differently. Think of it akin as to like Photoshop or Affinity when you have a bunch of blend modes and you try to rasterize them to one image. It'll just kind of mess up the blend modes. That's why you'd externally record it, or like in the case of Affinity, you'd pretty much just export the whole project as it is as a PNG and not rasterize and make that the raster. So for this instance, what I did was that I just have this cool loop in FL that's like a song start. And I recorded that in Audacity and just, there we go, we put it in here. Now we could just add drums and make a whole track out of that, you know? Tip number 2, if you're making a song or track and you notice that the higher the sub goes in the frequency range, the louder it gets, because that's just how frequency dynamics works, and it's extremely annoying. So like this, although I think I've tamed it quite a bit, you know what I mean. The higher up you push a note, the louder it gets. So what you can do, essentially, at least in Serum, is that if you mess around with this little note tab here, this little note module, you attach it to the volume in reverse, or in positive, doesn't really matter, you just have to do this, but like inverted, is that, so like this region here is low notes, this region here is high notes, I'm pretty sure, something like that. Mess around and set it up to where if you do essentially this sort of shape and really fine tune it by ear, you'll essentially make it to where the higher notes are quieter and the lower notes are louder. Although that's a little drastic, and that's why you could hold Alt and move this down a little. Don't hold Alt. Actually, you should. Hold Alt Shift, and that won't mess it with it horizontally. You can mess with the volume amount here. Because without it, I don't know why this is, but like the higher notes just get louder. Probably because higher notes means higher frequency, and higher frequency equals higher volume, you know? It's like E equals MC squared, I guess. I don't know. But that's a good tip. With anything that lets you attach note information to anything, do that. And you can also take this a step further and attach note information to any sort of knob in Serum and just kind of go crazy with the keyboard. Last tip, sidechain everything. For this example, I'm going to use my drums because I want my drums to have their fundamental frequency, which matches the fundamental frequency of my lead, to be lowered. So the clap's fundamental frequency matches that of my lead, which is 1000 hertz, right? And I want it to lower every time the lead hits. So how do we do this? With Pro Q3 specifically, because EQ8 does not allow a sidechaining option. So what you do is that you pull up Pro Q3, sidechain, get your trigger that you want. So I'm doing lead bus, and we're going 1000 hertz. We're gonna right click this bad boy and choose your stereo field of place. I'm going side because I don't want to lower its actual dry signal at all, just the stereo width. And we are going to make it dynamic, which means it's essentially gonna be like Pro MB, multiband dynamics compressor. And I'm going to lower it essentially however I want. You can also get in depth here. And you could enable the spectrum if you want, that's optional. But what really matters is clicking on this auto button and selecting over here, your sidechain group. And that's gonna sidechain instead of from itself to the individual external sidechain. And that's gonna make a lot of space for that area, for that lead to breathe. And you could take this a step further. You could attach this to pretty much anything that allows sidechaining, you know? It's called Make Dynamic for a reason. It's gonna really improve the dynamics in every sense of the word of your track. Really experiment and add a lot of shit. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe if you want to, if you more, and help the channel grow. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!